All right, let's talk about our officers because we got three new ones, and there's mixed verdicts about how people feel about these three new people. So let's start with Sam Kirk, who seems like he's going to be the harder one to get because he is only available probably through special events. And Benga's going to be in the auctions. Sam Kirk is going to be in the other SMS or SLBs or heroics or 2 month long arc events. Captain's ability reduces enemy shield hit points by 10% as long as you're not fighting an armada. So he's lowering their shield health by 10%. So he's basically like Yuki, right? He's stripping their shields away. And he'll get synergy from other Strange New Worlds officers on the side. His officer ability here increases critical damage. So again, now you're doing critical hits with, Hugh and, Torres and stuff below decks. So now you are boosting that damage output a sizable amount once you get him all the way up 350% at rank 5. That's a pretty decent increase. So he does take 120 shards to unlock. So he is a heftier officer to acquire compared to some of the other ones we've had recently. Overall, not bad. Got some good abilities. Sourcing going to be a little more challenging. And Benga's the one I'm a little puzzled on. So you already have your Spock, your La'an, your Uhura, and Ortegas, who give you mitigation boosts based on a particular stat. Well, now his captain's ability just boosts your mitigation, so he kind of he's basically the three of them combined into one officer, but he has to be in the captain's slot to do it. So when you're fighting hostiles, he's just gonna 1,500%, and obviously he'll get synergy from the sides that'll make this even higher. So you don't necessarily have to take your officer slots with those other people. So if you wanted to do Mbenga with Giorgio and Tal and go hunt stuff, well, now you've got a large mitigation and your captain's chair, and then those two on the side doing whatever. Or if you're, taking Data and Janeway because you're going after isolytic stuff or whatever the case may be, you're farming or you're grinding with. You're getting one officer with a captain's ability that's boosting stats pretty significantly that doesn't require any synergy the way like 5 of 11 does in order to boost mitigation values there. And it's universal. So even if you put Ortegas or Uhura in there, it's only when you're on one type of ship and you're hitting the other type of ship. He's kind of we just smashed them all three of them together. So that seems valuable. And then this one here, he increases your shield hit points every round by 2%, which is going to scale up to 15%. So you're getting some extra shield health to try and stay in the fight longer, and his mitigation to help reduce the damage that you're taking. He seems like a good officer. It's kind of weird that his ability is going to invalidate the other officers who are actually on the bridge and actually doing stuff, but power creep sometimes trumps lore. Some theories about Sam and Mbenga being like the new G6 hostile crew. Well, I mean, yes, if you've got this just boosting your mitigation straight up across the board, and then you've got Sam over here giving you more critical hit damage. You got Hugh below deck with Balana and things like that. So now you're getting hull breach on everything and critical hits on everything. Mitigation and extra damage. It could certainly be a wonderful crew for all kinds of hostile grinding, including for the G6 players. And then lastly, you've got Chapel, who is a below deck officer. She's boosting the amount of isomatter you get from the Gorn Hunters, who we'll look at in our final segment in just a minute here. So you're getting more loot from them with her in an officer slot. I mean, if you're using her to give synergy to Mbenga, okay, sure, that makes sense. Um, but you're probably not doing this because if you wanted more loot, unless you're a newer player to the game and don't have an officer like 5 of 11 yet, you would just put 5 of 11 in the officer slot because you're probably going to get more than 25% for a loot bonus, probably 40 or 60% depending on where you've got your officer there. But it's the below deck ability that has everybody going crazy because she's boosting isolitic cascade damage starting at 5%, ranking up to 40%, only against non armada hostiles. So basically, Data's ability, but below decks. So if you have Picard, Data, and somebody, and then you've got her below deck too, like Picard, Data, Janeway, and then her below deck, it's like you've got all kinds of isolitic damage pouring out here. Where is my Data? Am I blind and not seeing him? I thought he was. Oh, there he is. So he's got a 20% boost at tier 3. So and she'll scale up about the same as him, kind of mirroring him almost. So a lot of opportunity there for boosting isolitic damage, isolitic cascade, which is the multiplier, giving you oodles and oodles of damage. Why Janeway instead of Riker, who gives synergy? It kind of depends on, well, because Riker's given synergy to Picard's captain's ability, which is his loot ability, is it not? Yeah. Riker's giving synergy boosting his loot ability. If you wanted more isolitic damage, it's his officer ability that you'd have to boost. So, and then why is isolitic damage so important? Well, that leads us to our last little bit, which is our new Gorn hostiles and the little loop that's involved with them. So they added a couple of new systems up here, right next to swarm space in the 40s, and off of G5 space for the Fed up here in the 50s. And then if you are in the 60s and you have access to this warp path out here, you can get into the 60 space here and you can fight even bigger Gorn hostiles. They are shaded, so you can't see in to see what's going on. But let's move some people around here for a second. Because if I wanted Picard and Data, I'm going to leave him there to give hull breach because I'm going to have Hugh still giving crit chance. And I really want to max that isolitic damage output. I've had solid success hitting things that are my own level. It's when you go up and try and go above your level that you start to run into some problems, is what I've found. Can you reach? Yes, you can. Let's go there and throw a Titan buff too. The new Gorn hostiles, if we go back and look, freebooters. So the new Gorn hostiles, they give this brand new material, this volatile isomatter, which has a new refinery, which we'll look at in just a second here. Have some unique abilities here. Their isolitic damage is increased. Their piercing stats are increased. So their objective is to apply a lot of isolitic damage to you. And since there's not a lot of things that give isolitic defense that players have unlocked free to play, you could be taking a little extra damage for a while. And then their thing is that they can only take isolitic damage and you cannot hit them with the Borg cutting beam either. And if you look into an actual battle log, you'll see right here, Sanctus, 12 million base shot, 12 million exactly mitigated. He absorbed all of it. No isolytic defense, so my remaining 5.7 million isolytic damage goes right through here. 80% to the shields, 20% to the hull. And then we start getting us some crits, and then Picard gives me some little bit of a boost. So now I hit a crit for 41 million isolytic damage, and this goes all again straight through, takes the shields down, and we are able to kill the thing in round one. Awesome. That seemed like it went really well. Well, why don't I try punching up here and let's go up to fight the 60s in the next system? Well, suddenly I went from being 337 million to 160 million, basically double its power, to now I'm losing by 100 and something million power in this particular fight. Now, this one was already damaged. That's a bad example. I came back and killed it because it killed me the first time. Let's look at this one. Yeah, I got most of it dead. But the fight only went 2 rounds because it's doing a ton of base damage and a ton of isolytic damage. And my isolytic defense ain't that great. So I'm taking quite a lot of damage right through, right off the bat. And it is taking my shield health way down. Real quick. I'm out of shields by the end of round 1. And here we are in round 2 now, with, even though I'm laying into it pretty good, it's putting 20 plus million damage right back on me. So I got its shields down, did some damage to it, but you know, it's got a decent firing pattern, and the fact that it's doing a standard and an isolytic component, you're basically taking double damage every round. But in terms of actually hunting and killing these things, it's not that bad. As far as loot and stuff goes, to do double pulls, I need about 5,000 from each refinery. So just over 5,000. So I would need 15,000 to do double pulls on all 3 refineries each day. And I can get that off of 1 hull, killing things that are my own level. Or close to it. I think I got 14,000 and change last time, and I think I need like 15,060. So I'd have to just, you know, maybe make an extra trip or carry over, or not do a triple pull of one of the, or double pull rather, of one of the 3 loot options. Fights go 1 to 2 rounds. GP, you killed 30 of them. Yeah, the fights are not long because you're both throwing around a whole lot of damage here. So Lloydson, you can't hit a 51. Yeah, punching up is really difficult because there's a drastic power jump in these things. You know, I'm hitting things my level, and you know, these are way smaller than me, but the next level up is significantly bigger than me. But just using this crew, I've been doing pretty well as far as loot goes. You know, obviously if, you know, I had more officer slots, or if my Balana was a tier higher or something like that, I might have more success in, you know, crew options and crew alignments. But for what I'm doing right here, this seems to be working pretty well for me. So Lloydson, you run full loot crew. You got 6,000 loot off of 1 hull, and that'll let you do double pulls on everything for 2 days. Awesome. So again, it's not a very time-intensive loop. There's also no tokens involved with this particular loop, so you can come out here and stock up as much as you want, especially, you know, if there's like an incursions event store going on and you got that loot exo active. You could come up here and grab 4 or 5 days worth of resources and materials. You know, compared to some of the Enterprise Zindi grinds that were added. This one definitely seems like it's less time intensive to do and a lot more optional. And we'll look at the rewards here in just a second. Obviously, I don't want to leave myself just floating out here where I can get PvP'd with the events going on, so we're just going to keep grinding until we're dead. And all I did was throw a Titan buff, which I have to do a daily for anyway, and I'm already up to, yeah, I'm at 13,000, and I've got about 40% of my hull left, so I should be okay with this one. Sammo was using Picard Data Janeway, got enough for full pulls of everything for almost 3 days. Yeah, so this is definitely a loop that you can set up so it's not going to be an everyday kind of loop. You can, and again, this is if you want to do double pulls as well. So if you were trying to just do single pulls of this stuff, I think my single pull rate is only like 1500. So even doing all 3 chests, we're talking about what, 4500? I could do that right now for 3 or 4 days if I didn't want to just do single pulls. So this one's not bad. I'm not offended by this new loop. Yes, it's another it's a fifth loop in 5 months, and I thought we were doing quality versus quantity. Where did that come from? We just keep getting more loops, but as far as loops go, this one is a lot more palatable than the last couple months have been. With Tinsy asking if friendly alliances changed their diplomacy condition to unfriendly just for points, I think almost everybody's doing that at this point in time. I don't see why you wouldn't, other than just the risk of people confuse you should know who your allies are, and take a look and not hit people unnecessarily unless it's been in designated areas. So I got 20,000 with the Titan buff. So I got about an extra 5 or 6k by having that Titan buff active, so I think that went pretty well. And if we look at our new refinery option we've got here, ISO Matter. Can't see into them because I already pulled them. The first one here, Officer Shard Exchange, it has all of the Voyager officers and all of the Enterprise E officers are in there. There are multiple shard counts for each. Most of the time, it does not give the breakdown of what your chances are of getting what value level, whether it's you get 1 rare shard or 2 rare shards or 5 rare shards, or whatever the case is of an officer. That breakdown is not there. The only one they give you is the one that tells you it's 70% for rare and 30% chance to get an epic. It is a single officer thing you're getting, and I think most of the time you're going to get 1 shard, but it is some daily sourcing. Lloydson sent me a screenshot of his chest. Uh-oh. What do we got here? Oh, thanks. That's not the chest I was expecting you to send me. No, I'm just kidding. Please don't send me those. So, thank you, first off. So as you can see here, it's got all the Voyager officers. It's got the Enterprise E officers as well, all 4 of them. So now we have more sourcing for some of the officers who are already in the game. So Formation Armada is not as necessary anymore to try and source these people, because now you can do this. So again, that's making you less reliant on having to organize and do that type of event. Also, a couple of those officers were not available. I don't think 7 was in there. And I don't think Neelix was in there either. So now you've got other ways to source those officers. And then, of course, now you've got additional sourcing for the Enterprise E crew as well. But whether you get 1 shard, 2 shards, or 5 shards is anybody's guess. I'm gonna assume it's probably like 66%, 33%, and like 1%, but maybe it's not as lopsided as that. So thank you very much for sending that over. This one here, Isomatter's getting you additional artifact pieces. This is, your standard artifact shards. So again, the same type of artifact pulls you would do if you were running formation armadas. You can get access to the same artifact shards directly solo by yourself. So formation armadas becoming again less valuable. And then the third box here is for resources and materials. It gives appropriate to your ops level, as well as some faction credits and speed ups and stuff are also in here. This one I only did a single pull of because I looked at it and I was like, okay, it's nice, but it's nothing, spectacular. Um, but these I did double pulls of because I want to source these officers faster and I want to source some of these artifacts faster as well. And if you're investing in your artifacts, especially your new temporal artifacts, that makes the other one cheaper. That might help you unlock some of these other ones a little faster. Some of these ones that have been lingering for a while, like some of this stuff is in there. And some of these other ones in here, like the baseball and the scanners and things like that, that unless you were really actively running lots of formation armadas, they're probably all very low level if you've even unlocked them. A lot of these rares and things like that, as compared to some of the other stuff, like the Voyager ones. I'm into the remnant levels because these just are very easy to source. The traditional ones here, I've barely unlocked them or just gotten them up like 1 or 2 levels. So being able to source these a lot more consistently will certainly help with advancing in the game as well. And some of this other stuff that I've never unlocked would be nice to be able to get finally as well. So you sent them all? Well, that's nice. Thank you. So as you can see here, you've got all kinds of artifacts available in here. And there are multiple values for each one. I think it's 1, 2, and 3. Also, some of the new ones are in here too. I think he sent a second picture. Hang on. Yep, he sent a picture of the bottom half. So yeah, so it's 1, 2, and 3 that you have to get for each of these artifacts. But just looking at what's in here, you've got plenty of the rares, and you even have a couple of the new ones. Stone of Memory, Nero's Trident, like all the new ones that we just got are in here. Now there's only, oh no, they are over here too. Okay. Yeah, so this will also help source some of these new artifacts a lot faster than just through that daily Zindi loop as well. And then the last chest, which he was kind enough to also include, thanks buddy, shows what you got here. This is his chest at 49. He's getting 4-star materials plus speed ups and faction credits. Again, an extra little sourcing for faction credits to help unlock ships faster. And then, some extra materials in here. No ship parts, but extra materials. And a handful of speed ups as well. This is why I only did a single pull this one. This stuff to me was less valuable and not necessarily worth spending double the materials on. So thank you very much for sending those all over so we could include them here on the stream for everybody.